Hello everyone, Jester Bell is back, and I hope you are all hearing me right now because for those who don't know, YouTube is having a lot of issues with its algorithm and the views of nearly all creators are being throttled. Their videos are not getting out to their subscribers. Restricted mode has mysteriously turned on for a lot of viewers. So if you haven't already, please check your settings, make sure that restricted mode is not turned on for you, and please be sure to comment under this video or like the video or do anything you can to engage with it beyond just viewing it for the first time, because that really helps boost it in the algorithm as creators are struggling with whatever is going on with YouTube right now with their new algorithm. So without further delay, let's get on to the video. So some good news is that this week Marvel Rivals Season 4 releases, and I'm really looking forward to it because Marvel Rivals has kind of been my go-to game to play in my downtime. It's what helps me unwind. It's what helps me not be so wired up on all of the bad stuff that's going on in Hollywood right now. And it also has really been keeping my Marvel fandom up because I swear that game takes care of their characters better than either Marvel movies or Marvel comics right now. With all the flaws that the game might have from time to time, it does take care of its characters better than Marvel movies and comics. And it's what's been just keeping up my love for this universe and making me continuously want to talk about it. But something very interesting about the game is that whenever they introduce a new character, like a character that might not be very mainstream, that maybe people haven't heard of before, they always typically get a good response versus what has happened in the comics and movies. Now, here I want to be clear, I'm not talking about characters that are exclusive to the game, because all of these characters had an appearance somewhere else before. Like Luna Snow appeared in Marvel Future Fight, a different game, before she appeared in this game. Jeff the Shark appeared in West Coast Avengers by Kelly Thompson. That was a newer comic. And Angela is the new character that's coming for this season, and she actually originated from the Spawn universe before being bought with her rights over to Marvel. But I want to say that none of these characters, though, were very well known. They were given basically their boost into the spotlight based on Marvel Rivals, and they are, what I'm seeing, gaining a lot of popularity and a lot of interest because of Marvel Rivals and their appearance in this game. And I just find that very interesting that when Marvel Rivals introduces you to a character that you might not have known yet, like Angela, who even I, as somebody who's been reading Marvel comics for like 15 years at this point, I still had not heard of her. Then again, I'm not as very knowledgeable when it comes to Thor and Spawn lore, but I had never heard of her before. But when she was announced for this game, I instantly became more interested to find out who she was, and I saw a fan base growing for her online, even though she hasn't even been released in the game yet. We just have the previews for her. And I wanted to explore that because it is completely different than the introductions of new characters from Marvel Comics with Miss Marvel and the like, and Ironheart and all those. Completely different. And I want to use that to explore the right and the wrong way to promote new characters to people. And by that I mean characters that people might not have known about yet or are completely original. How to promote new characters to people. Well, for one, what I want to say that I think that Marvel Rivals does in a way that Marvel Comics and the movies have not is they don't make these new characters feel forced. Whenever they announce a new character, I don't feel like they are saying, you better like this new character or else. And I mean, that's the first step of trying to promote a new character, is how you communicate that with the audience, how you make them feel with that. Now, when it came to characters like Ironheart and Miss Marvel and all of those characters, Captain Marvel, there was always this air around them. There was always this movement around them. Like Captain Marvel was being promoted in her new form as supposed to be one of the new faces of Marvel, if not the face. And she was supposed to say a lot about, feminism and pushing that on that level. And Miss Marvel and Ironheart were supposed to be characters that, once again, were supposed to introduce more diversity in comics. And there was this air around them of the righteousness of that if you did not like those characters, then it meant that you were disagreeing with that. You were disagreeing with the very movements behind them. And to me, that is why that there was an air behind these characters of, it wasn't just, you should like them. There was no you should like them. It was you had to like them, because disagreeing with these characters and how they were portrayed was disagreeing with the movements. And I think that did a lot to make at least some people not interested in these characters because of those various movements behind them, because it didn't feel like it was about whether or not you really clicked with this character and liked them. It was about whether or not you disagreed with the movement. And I think that baked in a lot of tension with those characters from the get-go, or at least as they went on trying to promote them. But there's just not that air with Marvel Rivals. And there is diversity being introduced with Marvel Rivals in the character that they're promoting. Luna Snow is a Korean character, for example. So we are getting diverse characters from Marvel Rivals, and characters who had been very well established before, that are now getting more of the spotlight. Like Marvel Rivals got their blade out before Marvel Cinematic Universe did. But it never feels like it's about whatever movement it's attached to behind the scenes. It feels organic. It feels like this is a new character that we created with the hopes that you will have fun with it. And if you have fun with it, you'll make us more successful. Obviously, it's all about profit, but it feels like the characters in this game are promoted with the idea that you hopefully will enjoy them and that they will be successful based on that, rather than whether or not you are for or against whatever movement, which I'm all for, like introducing non-white characters and all of that kind of stuff. I'm all for introducing actual strong female characters. We see that with Angela, this upcoming character. Part of what's attracting people to her is just how muscular she is and just how muscle bound she is. Like I'm all for all of that, but problem is with that air of activism around these characters that they were promoting in the movies and comics is what that would lead to. Because, okay, you've already got that tension that this is about a movement more than just a character for people to have fun with. This is about a movement. But what happens if, even beyond that, people don't respond well to the characters? And, well, what would happen with these Marvel Comics characters is they weren't particularly well written. Now, Miss Marvel is overall a harmless character in my opinion, but I've just never really clicked with her. I've never really clicked with the character of Miss Marvel. And then Ironheart was just always written as a psycho from the beginning, and she still has been to this day. But if you didn't like those characters and you just didn't care for them based on this and you criticized them, then once again, going back to the movements around these characters, that was just seen as you not being for the movement, you not being for having diverse characters at all, you not being for having strong female characters at all. That's what that was seen as, and that was creating a resentment towards the audience for not liking these characters. So there was no you can dislike these characters for that. There was none of that whatsoever. It was all, you have to like these characters, or either you have to either like them or say nothing about them, because if you say anything against them, then that is making all of these negative implications about you. And I think that, combined with them just not being very good characters, is what also created a lot of resentment towards them, because it's now bigger than just whether or not you like a character. It's about movements. It's about activism. It's about morality. And that's what became tied up with all of these diverse characters, whether they were female characters or non-white characters or all of this, and all of these new characters that they were trying to promote. They just became, there was so much tension baked into them, because then it became like a morality thing. On one side, you have people pointing out like maybe Ironheart has a very messed up morality as a character. On the other hand, you have people saying that if you don't like Ironheart, it's because of your own messed up morality. There is none of that whatsoever with Marvel Rivals. When they present a new character, what I notice is the characters are actually well written. Now, this is a game we're talking about, but Marvel Rivals really cares about its lore. Like when a new character like Angela comes out, like you can hear the lore of her character baked into who she is, how she talks, how she is angry whenever she brings up Odin, or the fury in her voice when she speaks to Hela.
Angela, darling, am I supposed to believe that Odin had a Kingslayer daughter that I have never known of?
Thor said you would say that. I don't need families.
Oh, no. I'm not surprised that the one-eyed old man has secrets. No. I am shocked that she is another betrayer.
Takes one to know one. You! Why did you kidnap my sister?
Heaven is no place for a daughter of Odin. You, of all people, should know that.
how she talks to Thor, how she talks to other characters in the game. The voice acting in this game and the writing behind it is so well done that you get so much in just the little interactions of the characters and who they are that it makes you want to find out more, because you get so much implications of their personality and history in just their little voice interactions. It makes you want to look up their history in the comics. It makes you want to play them in the game because, it feels like you're experiencing this character when you play that character in the game. And that's why I think a character like Angela, part of the reason why she is getting so much attention, because of the voice performance and the presentation being so well done, it's making people curious as to who she was in the comics. Same thing with like Luna Snow and Jeff the Shark. Now for this game, it's like Jeff the Shark, super cute character, super cute vibe with him, and you are curious to see like his crazy adventures throughout the universe. Luna Snow is like this character where she's very confident in her abilities as a singer, but she's humble enough that she's a little bit in awe in the presence of other superheroes still. I think that what perfectly encapsulates her personality is that she's in awe of Tony Stark, and to be able to work with Iron Man, she also doesn't have a problem making a little jab about how she was able to sell out Stark Stadium when he was not, and he's an old timer. Like, all of these characters have very well established and interesting personalities and very distinct in the game. And once again, when you play the character, you feel like you're experiencing the character's personality and their story. And it's a great way to like whet people's appetite for more of these characters and making them want to read their lore and see more of them. So that's another thing about what Marvel Rivals does that the comics and the movies did not, is they actually create these interesting personalities for characters and present them in such a strong and distinct way that makes you want to read more. And once again, it's all with the presentation that this is there for you to have fun with. And with that, you actually do get a diversity in characters, an organic diversity in the characters that they are presenting in this game. And it's all just for like, it's there for people to enjoy. And you just see the different response that people have when these characters are presented organically and just with the concept of this is just about you having fun, rather than all this baggage behind them about what they're supposed to mean and what you reacting to that means. And so that's another thing. They actually are presented with well-done personalities in game. I might also add, though, also the designs have a lot to do with it. Jeff the Shark is I know he originated in the comics. He has a very cute design that really works in game. But Angela, I think that it is very interesting that because she is a Vanguard, a tank in this game, they really buffed her up from her comic book appearance. Now, I still like her comic book design, but her design and presentation of this game, of being such a muscular female character, it's so unique and it's exciting what you can see her do in this game, that it's also what is drawing people to her and getting them interested. Like, they're just very well done designs as characters, and they look real and they look attractive, and that's also what excites people for these characters in the game. Now, I can't say the same thing for any of the new characters that they have been introducing with Marvel movies or Marvel comics. Like, Miss Marvel is obviously supposed to be a teenage character, so I would not expect her or want her to be sexualized in any way, but she still should have a good design. Like, I have never liked any of the many, many designs that they have made for that character. They've never looked good, and they just keep changing it over and over again, and none of it works. And so, but with other characters though, whenever they introduce like new female characters in the movies or comics, I always feel like there's an attempt to make those characters look frumpier and make them as unappealing as possible, like as generic and mundane as possible, like someone you might see in real life. And I hate to harp on this because I know people don't like me talking about it, but I think that that is another way that the movies and such have been failing in a way that this game is not. This game is unafraid to make a design attractive or sexy when it's fitting for that character, or even to like even do something unconventional. Like, we don't oftentimes, I never see this type of character in like a Marvel movie recently. You would never see this type of muscle mommy kind of character that Angela is. It's a different and very striking design for a female character to have. So I think that that is really what is working about this, and how the game just continues to try to be accurate to the original comics and then make its own changes where they make sense. And I think that that's what really draws people to these designs versus the movies, which just make characters look as bland and unappealing as possible. And like, I don't really feel like cosplaying Yelena Belova's tactical outfit, her frumpy tactical outfit. You know, I might feel more inclined to cosplay as one of these characters from Marvel Rivals because the designs actually look good, and they cared about the designs looking good rather than in the movies where it seems like they're making sure that the designs look as bland and mundane as possible so that you won't find this attractive in any way, shape, or possible. People should just look normal in these movies. So designs is another reason. But yeah, I just find that very interesting about this game, that a combination of actually presenting the characters well and selling them to a people in an organic way and not making it feel forced and not making it feel like it's anything bigger than just you enjoying this game, and making and putting a care in the voice acting and the personalities of these characters and their lore, where I think that the lore of the Marvel Rivals characters has more effort put into it than any movie or character or comic book recently. Like they give you all of these stories that you can read in this game about these characters and about their team ups, and they're very well thought out and they're very distinct for this game. Like the lore of Daredevil becoming possessed by this new entity and fighting Angela in this game as Hela is going to be locked up. Like, they really care about this lore, and each new season comes with a new story, and it's like, at this point, you know, who needs the comics? Because the comics just do not have good writers genuinely outside of the Absolute and Ultimate universes. So it's like, why are you reading Marvel comics anymore when you can get much better lore and characterization in this game? Like, I came back to Marvel comics, but I had to leave again because the writing was just so bad. I only read back issues. And why would you pay so much attention or even try to enjoy the movies when the game is presenting you with better lore? And I can trust the game. I'm excited for Gambit and Rogue to come to the game because I've seen that genuinely. And they have messed up with some characters. I think that Jean Grey wasn't as well presented as she could have been. But generally, this game has been good in how it presents its characters. So that gets me hopeful for Gambit and Rogue coming to the game in Season 5 because there's a potential there. I've seen the track record of this game. I've seen how they can get new people interested in these characters and how things can be done right. And so that makes me hopeful for when Gambit and Rogue come to the game and how they're going to be presented. But the track record of comics and movies has lost me at this point. And it's like, it's funny because Kevin Feige said that his son was not into any of the Marvel movies he was producing. He wasn't into Marvel characters until he played the games. And it's like, you know, maybe people should be taking their notes from this game more. And I've done several videos on this game before, and I will do more of them. They should be taking more notes from this game about how to present characters in a good way and a fun way to get people invested in them, rather than everything else that they've been doing. And that's another thing about it, is that this game, you know, it kind of lives and dies on whether or not its characters are popular, and they're constantly changing their characters and trying to improve on them as people make demands on that level. But it's like, for Marvel comics and movies, it's like, whether or not you like these characters, we will shove them down your throat and we will give them more content. Like, however, did Ironheart get a TV show, let alone a movie in appearance at all, when she was that unpopular in the comics? Or Miss Marvel, never sold that well in comics, gets a TV show and multiple movie appearances and is still appearing in games. I noticed she hasn't come to Marvel Rivals yet and is not even rumored to the game. Like, they would continuously push these characters and force them at you, regardless if you like them or not, because of the movement behind them and what the implications of that movement that they had to present, and what that would mean if they were ever to admit that these didn't work out, what that would mean for the movement. And so it's like, it's that versus a game that just allows you to have fun with these characters and puts the effort into how they are presented, because they live or die on whether you like these characters, and they actually understand that. It's about getting you to like these characters so that you will play the game, not about demanding that you must like these characters because they cannot fail, which is how the other ones in the comics and movies have been presented. So yeah, that's why in one of the many reasons why I just find myself gravitating towards Marvel Rivals, that is marketed like an actual game. Whatever flaws that might come its way, it's marketed like an actual game, and its characters are marketed like actual characters rather than movements that you have to get behind. You have to get behind these characters or you are not supporting the movement. And so, of course, these characters cannot fail. Marvel Rivals is my escape for a reason, and that's why I enjoy the characters. And even as they say that they want to bring in new original characters to this game, you know, I'm looking for, there's a lot of characters from comics that are original comics that I'd like them to prioritize first, but I'm all for them introducing new characters and seeing how they work out, because I know with this game that it is about whether or not I like the characters and how they're going to respond to that. It isn't about me having to like these characters. So that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you aren't tired of Marvel Rivals videos. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. If you are looking forward to Angela and Daredevil coming to Season 4 or Gambit and Rogue appearing in Season 5, I am definitely going to do a video on that, whether people like it or not, when that comes out in November. And I will see you guys next time.